My grandpa fought many battles in the Pacific during World War II, earning himself the Bronze Medal for bravery. We all have our own wars to fight during our lives, but I don't think anyone can be prepared for the last one they have to fight, the one with themselves.
Terry, I'm in trouble. I think I'm losing my mind. Please call me, or better yet, stop by and see me. I need help. I'm sorry again. I hate to do this to you. Bye. Right now I'm living in a hotel, and they serve 3 meals a day, which I partake of. No, when I'm home, I make my own meals. When I'm out in a hotel, I do as the people in the hotel do. They eat in the hotel. I don't know till they let me go, till my relatives let me go. They called me up here. I'm not sure why yet. Well, they wanted me to see my grandchildren, I guess. I guess they wanted to see me for some reason. If I had my choice, I wouldn't be here. I'd be back where I was.
He's not thinking clearly. He has a phone. He can never remember how to work it. But he always remembers to go to breakfast, lunch, and dinner. He still has a great appetite. He's very healthy physically. But mentally, he's deteriorating quite rapidly. And he gets anxiety attacks. He'll call me 26 times a day and not remember 1 minute later that he had just called me.
Okay, I'd appreciate it. I'd like something for the shoulder. It's giving me fits. Something to ease the pain so I can sleep tonight. Call me back and let me know if you would, please. Bye-bye.
It's hard, I had to take over everything. All his bills, all of his, everything that he's had, and that was really hard. I had no idea how to start with that. Money is a problem. He has only so much money, and it costs $5,000 a month to stay in that place. He has about 12 months left of money to stay there. Remember, it helps you, it's to save your legs, It's hard. I don't know, it's overwhelming for me. I don't sleep at night anymore, it's crazy. He was living in Houston by himself, and when we would go visit, there would be stacks of mail and stacks of things he'd bought on TV. And I'd go see him about once a month or once every other month. But I could tell he was forgetting things, forgetting a lot of things. And then he called me one day and said he was checking himself into the hospital. And I said, why, Dad? Because he hadn't given any indication he wasn't well. And he said, I just have to go. I'm going at 6 o'clock. And he was in intensive care for days. And so he was losing a lot of blood somehow. They still don't know what happened to him. He just got really, really sick. And so I knew he couldn't stay down there alone anymore. I brought a caregiver in for a year, and she would come in 5 days a week. And she took incredible care of him, but he had to be alone every night. He wasn't capable of that anymore after he got sick that time.
And you have to take so much control away from them in order for them to, watch over him. Like, we had to move him to Salt Lake City from Houston because we had to make sure that we managed everything, and she had to be there, every day checking on him, and so that he lost that control.
So he's just been there since June, and I had been there every day to make sure he was settling in. 2 days later he calls and he goes, you've got to help me. They've locked me in a hotel room. I can't get out. And I'm going, Dad, no. And he didn't even remember. We had moved him in. We'd moved all the furniture. It's heartbreaking. You want to get this off? We'll take this, you want this shoulder? Well, let's do this shoulder first.
And since We grew up in Utah. I've grown up in Utah my whole life. But I never really knew a lot about him. I didn't know about his past. I knew he was in the war. I knew how many kids he had, but I didn't really know about him.
My father had a friend that came over before he did and wrote to him about the land of milk and honey. And this was in the early 1930s when everything went to hell. So when he got here, there wasn't any milk and very little honey. Well, we were never really comfortable, but it was tough all the way. It was a struggle. I had wanted to stay where I was. I was perfectly happy. But the family said we go, so I went. I had no choice. At 12 years old, you don't have much choice.
He doesn't remember my brother's children. My brother had 4 kids. He doesn't remember any of them, but he can recount, event by event, something that happened during World War II.
As a captain of a company in the 6th Ranger Battalion, they're attack troops. They go in difficult situations and try to straighten them out. They attack early before regular troops invade to soften up the enemy. You didn't have time for perspectives. You just did what they told you to do. It was a united effort. Nobody cared what your perspective was as long as it worked in with everybody else. When you're doing something you don't like, you don't really want to do it, but you do it because you have to do it. Somebody has to do it. My life is what I'm comparing anything to, and that was my life. The Army actually made me.
It puts an unhealthy amount of stress on my mom and dad. My mom is constantly worrying about Norman and endlessly frustrated. It has become the center of their lives, the number one concern. My dad says the situation is aging my mom faster. And I think he might be right.
It's quite overwhelming. It really is. You want to do the right thing, and you get very frustrated. He's very, very single-minded.
You just can't communicate to him what you want. And the things that my mom's doing for him, they're necessary, but he doesn't see it that way, and he can't really make that judgment call just because of his mental state right now.
I've got to get out of here. There's nobody to talk to. Not a soul around. Please find out how to get me into a veteran's home. It should be easy. Call me back one way or the other, please.
I think the most difficult part for me is just seeing him so unhappy. It's really, he has a chance to be in a place where there are very nice people. He could make a few friends and play cards or enjoy himself, but he refuses to do that.
What's happy? That's a relative term. I'm not the happy type. Never has been, never will be. I don't go around, tra-la-la, I'm alive, thank goodness, and that kind of stuff. I'm more down to earth. There are degrees of everything. Worms are happy, I assume. Well, I have never been a happy person. And at this stage of my life, I never will be. I'm a realist. is that you accept life as it comes and goes. There's no future, very little future. Every day that passes makes your future that much shorter. I don't particularly welcome it, but it's inevitable. And I accept the inevitable. Methuselah lived forever, I guess, but I'm not Methuselah. I am unhappy as hell here. Would you please do that? Thanks, bye. What else does it do? Everything delays the inevitable. Life is inevitable, and death is inevitable. It happens to everything. Everything that lives. That's nature. Nature births and nature kills.
Received yesterday at 2:25 p.m.
I've got to get into a home. I'm going crazy here. They're playing piano next door. You can't even think. Please call me. Thank you. Or stop by. Bye.
You don't want to dislike your father, you know, but sometimes he can make me just want to go, I don't want you to ever call me again, because it gets really hard to take. It tests all of your good nature and your patience, and it tests a lot of things. Next will be the VA home, and we'll see how that goes. You know, and his health's good. He's 92. He could live to be 100.
Please call me back as soon as possible and find out how to get me into a veteran's home.
Emotionally, I wasn't prepared at all. It takes such an emotional strain. It's unreal how it's, you know, it's changed my outlook on a lot of things. Now I worry about, because I'm, you know, getting to where I'm going to have to start thinking about this too, and I sure don't want to be in a predicament like he is.